Okay. Bear with me because I've never done this. Um, yeah, I'm kind of just like, okay. I've been sorting out for the past couple of days, honestly, how I was gonna do this. Was like, I'm just gonna record and do it, or was I just gonna go live and do it? So I just said, you know what? I'm up. Let's just go live and do it. So, um, this is the book here. It is on Amazon. Like, I have the link in the description. That's the other part of it. And the back part of it. It actually shows the front and the back on the website too. I'm gonna read this chapter by chapter. Like the first chapter is literally 27 pages. I think it's 70. No, not 70. I'm tripping. 57 chapters it is. If I'm counting the epilogue to it. Um Bear with me, because again, I've never done this before. So I'm kind of just going to let the music play and I'm just gonna try to get through the chapter. And we're just gonna yeah. Uh yeah. This is my first time. I've never done this. I'm dead serious, never done this. But we gonna do this, y'all. Okay. Also after that I'm gonna check the audio and all that, make sure like the um music and all of that is like in sync with each other. Okay. Um okay. We can start with the actually I wanna read this acknowledgement part in here. I actually wanna do that. When I first started writing the first series draft of this novel back in the fall of 2013, I didn't know it would take about 9 years before I had a work that I was proud of. Even though my first incarnation of this work was sloppy, unrefined, and clearly the creation of a new writer, it was something I remember being strongly passionate in. That passion might have died had it not been for the support of my family. My father and stepmother, especially, who pushed the original draft publication to many of their friends, neighbors, and relatives. Though the years passed without much progress, I soon met a wonderful young woman named Mackenzie who, for some reason, didn't run away when I let her know I was interested in dating her. She'll tell you that wasn't true, but she did come back. Thankfully, she's a bookworm, and through her support and encouragement for years, I gained the confidence to pick up the project that I had started in writing The Dark Lady. With that and the support of my dear friend Richard, who stood by this project every step of the way, I finally managed to get it done despite challenges like being unemployed during the 2020 pandemic, becoming a father to two beautiful children, a boy and a girl, and the loss of my baby sister Candace. When I say that this book wouldn't exist without them, I mean that in a very real and literal sense. For this, I thank them and cannot express just how thankful I am for them. I'm also grateful for the others in my life who may not have had a direct impact like my wife and best friend have, but have indirectly contributed to the success of the creation of this work and reuniting the passion that drives this project forward. Of these, I'm grateful for my parents, mother, father, stepmother, and stepfather for all of their help in these turbulent years, allowing me to provide for the needs of my family. I'm also grateful for my in laws who have accepted me as part of their family and made me feel like I'm not some outsider who stole their daughter from them. In a way, this book is for all of them too. Lastly, I'd like to thank you, the reader, for giving this book a chance. I hope you can find joy in this work and, in some way, I hope it brings a light to your life. Your support means so much to me. I hope that I will have you as a continued supporter for this wild journey. Mind you, this is actually part one. This is just part one of this. This whole book is just part one. This is the map here that he drew, that he had put into it. I don't know why this isn't move that over there. And then he has a bigger one here. Yeah, this is the bigger one. Yeah, it's pretty big. Okay. Okay. Part 1. The Dark Lord's Apprentice. Chapter 1. The Looming Dust. The sun was setting on the horizon below the rolling hills of the craggy landscape. Calamaster looked at it as a sign that his fifth straight day of riding was coming to a close. The lexicon looked down through the unkempt locks of his golden hair at his horse, Tados. The beast was a good horse. Most animals would have died after 5 straight days of riding, but not him. Tados was a pure-breed Luzumian, a horse breed much healthier than the typical stock, especially those found exclusively in Braxton, the lands of the humans. Till Talos looked ragged, like a good shirt had been seen years of wind, rain, and mud, ready to be retired. Keep in there, we're almost to safety, Calamancer thought. It was only another day's ride to the foothills of the Twilight Mountains. There, they'd both be able to rest. There, they could hide from the fiends and their armies. Colormaster turned his head to the modified strips attached to his saddle, his eyes heavy with fatigue. Inside lay a small child sleeping peacefully, his princess, the daughter of his king. Calamata calls himself, his heart sinking. Well, his former king. Calamata struggled to stop the tears from flowing from his eyes. Now was not the time to think about the dead, not about laying the army that had attacked it. He wouldn't indulge the thought. Now he had worried about his child, Daya. Her safety was his top priority. Despite weighing him down, the memory of the dead also filled Calamaster with a renewed sense of anger. Regardless of how slight it was, if he was caught by the fiends, all was for naught. The legacies would die with them, and would become as if they had never met. With this child, there was hope. Hope of a new dawn. Hope of flickers of fire in the distance pulled Calamaster from his thoughts. The lights appeared to him like firewalls in the night. It only took a small moment to realize what they were. Lights from a town. Praise the angels, a village, possibly one with an inn. There, Cosmo could sleep in. No. Calamaster pulled his thoughts away from sleep. He needed to press on. Every moment he wasn't meant the distance between him and the army of fiends shrank. He mustn't. He couldn't. But then again, perhaps he could stay until morning. If he could rest, if Tyler could rest, then the rest of the journey to the Twilight Mountains would be swift. Besides, the fiends would have had to travel as fast as he, and they would only have done that had they known who he was or whom he was carrying with him. Calamaster made a decision. It was a calculated risk, if only slightly, but if it paid off, it would make the rest of the journey that much faster. He would stay at the village until morning. Turco, the village innkeeper, was among the first to hear the alarm from the other villagers. A lexicon is here. The news was shocking to say the least. Never in the days had he or anyone in the village ever seen a lexicon. Odd considering they were the lords of the hold. However, for some reason, the lexicon were a rather secluded lot, choosing to live primarily in the capital of Lade. Tuco thought it was this that caused rumors of them to spread like fire in the dry field. Lexicon were the great saviors of the Salarar continent, during the days of the Uribok's night, when fiends had ruled the world and almost wiped out all kind. Entirely they came. They were said to be distinct in appearance. They were rumored to appear like any man, but they had golden hair like perfectly ripened wheat. Their eyes were deep like blue, burning sapphires. Their men were supposed to stand a full 3 meters, and while their women appeared like any other in size, they were all undeniably more beautiful than any queen of earthly imagination. However, the most distinctive thing about them was their natural ability to use hidden magics that most ordinary folks couldn't. It was said by their appearance alone, even a beggar among them could rival the majestic of a duke among men. That's why when Turok went to the town square to see what all the fuss was about, He was disappointed. The Lexicon, as he was being called, was far from the majesty that he had heard. True, this man had the hair and eyes of Lexicon. He was even much taller than any man Tuka had ever seen. About 2 meters, but nothing close to the rumored 3. That's where the similarities seemed to cease. The only thing that would have given away this man for Lexington was the armor he wore. The man was fully armored atop a massive armor horse. He was only missing a helm. Its placed shorts like polished silver. Streaks of red like banners ran along its edges. His chest piece bore the symbol of King Radshire, an angel with the sword in one hand and a book in another. Outside the armor, however, the man seemed broken, like a traveler who had been dragged along the dusty road by his horse rather than riding it. Tuko listened as whispers began to lift through the rolling crowd around him like sparrows in a forest. A bad omen, I tell you, the elderly Drogan Rambo said. I say we send him on his way. Leave us good people be. Drogan spat in the Lexington direction. Tuko couldn't help but feel indigenous at the old man's lack of tact. Tuko stepped forward to the Lexington, who dismounted from his horse. The Lexington approached, dwarfing him by comparison. Then unexpectedly and without warning, the Lexington fell. Tuko reacted as quickly as he could and caught him, but soon realized the Lexington was heavier than he looked. Angel's mercy, Tuko said in almost grunt. Suddenly the weight seemed lighter. It was then that Tuko realized his son, Benel, had also shouldered the weight. Tuko nodded to the lad, and the two headed towards the inn. Oi, what you doing? Drogan said. Tuko ignored the man and continued towards the inn. Martha, Tuko said to his wife, see to the horse. I and the lad will see to the man inside. Martha nodded and went to do as she had been asked. Oi, Tuko, I got a strange feeling about this man. He can't stay. You get strange feelings about every cock crow in the morning, Tuko said to Cersei. Joker opened his mouth as if to be able to retort, but Tuko cut him off before he had the chance. As far as I see it, here is a man in need, and I intend to give him aid. Tuko then turned to the rest of the crowd who had begun to murmur. And if the lot of you would like to stop me, I say go on right ahead. As for me and my horse, though, we will aid any in need. Tuko waited but knew that none of them would dare act against him. He held too much respect in their eyes. Come, Biddle, let's see to this man. The lad nodded and the two disappeared into the inn. Martha led the gigantic horse into the stable to a rough throw of water and oats. The horse eagerly ate and drank as if it had been days since its last meal. Martha could sense a loyalty in this beast, but also a weariness. Right away she removed the bags on his saddle, then the saddle itself. No sooner had she removed them, the horse fell to the ground with a heavy thud that seemed to shake the stable. It was so heavy, it even startled the other animals. Martha herself jumped and let out a squeak. Did the horse just die? Soon Martha saw the gentle squeals of being from the animal and was put somewhat at ease. Poor thing, she said sympathetically. Martha returned to what she had been doing. She placed the bags on one of the stable posts so she could tend to the saddle. No sooner had she done so, the bag jumped as if it was alive. Martha about let out a full scream as she reeled back, waiting for the boulder snake or some other vile creature to jump out at her. With horror, she watched as the bag twisted and twirled. Then it let out a shrill cry of an infant. Angel's mercy, she said before quickly opening the bag to reveal a small child. Martha, now completely uneasy, took to the infant in her arms and cradled it. Where was the child's mother? Why was it in Lexington's bag? The babe quickly settled in her arms and began sleeping soundly. The child had light golden hair like the man. Something didn't seem right to Martha. It made her feel that something bad was coming. Martha walked inside the inn, child in arms. Her husband had just walked out of one of the guest rooms. What's this? Where you get this child, woman? He said. The babe was in a script on the saddle of the horse. A script? Tuko, I don't like how this is going. I mean, the child's too young to be without a mother. Something doesn't seem right to me. And what would you have me do, woman? Throw the man out? Well, we can't let him stay here if that's what you're suggesting. Woman, get a hold of yourself. Listen to what you're saying. The man looks like he's been through a battle. Are you suggesting that we throw Him and the child, especially one as young as that, out in the cold of night? Martha couldn't think of a good response. No, she didn't want to see the child thrown out into the night. She also didn't want to send the man on his way only to have him die of exhaustion. But Angel's mercy, she couldn't shake the sense of foreboding she felt. I don't know, Tuka. I just don't feel right with this at all. Tuka put his arm around her, and her feelings of unease started to melt. Calm yourself, love. Don't worry. I'll handle this. I'll watch the man all night if I have to. We're already taking his armor and weapon into our room. If anything's amiss, he won't be able to do us any harm. Now, that's not like we often have the opportunity to care for such a beautiful babe. Take it to the room, make it a bed, and show me that loving motherly side of you I fell in love with so many ages ago. Martha nodded. Her husband was right, and he had even managed to ease her feelings. She hated how he was able to do that, but that's why she had fallen in love with him to begin with. All right, love, she said, and he kissed her forehead. She turned to Babe, still asleep in her arms, as she ascended the stairway to the innkeeper's chambers. Calamancer found himself in the middle of a blaze. The lexicon looked frantically through billows of black smoke about him. The orange tint of fire illuminated cracked cobbles beneath his feet. Where was he? Suddenly he came across a pile of bodies, familiar bodies. They were his allies, his fellow Lexington. No, I can't. I'm back in Lilac, he thought. Suddenly, the clouds of smoke split and Kalamasa was standing in the air above the army of Lexicans, surrounded by an even bigger army of fiends that stretched as far as the eyes could see. The fiends fell upon the Lexington in a wave after wave, each crashing within the Lexington forces bit by bit. Soon there was nothing left. Kalamasa watched in horror as a sea of fiends that assailed the great city of London, tearing down its walls and setting fire to its buildings faster than the candles melt in a furnace. Suddenly a deep, unuttered laugh shook him to his bones, and he turned. Behind him, Kalamazoo saw a great black silhouette descending towards him. The figure descended on great wings, filling the air with dust with each gasping flap. Kalamazoo was suddenly on the battlefield. A wall of fiends, orcs, dragons, undead, lichen, vampires, witches, and even demons all surround him, preventing him from escape. The fiends stood jeering at him, taunting him, but also not attacking. Rashire Light, help me, Cosmer said under his breath as he watched the walls of fiends and their grotesque fighters. Kalamaster turned back to the thing descending towards him. The Lexington held a hand to his face to shield his eyes from the dust. Then he froze in terror as he realized what this was. Kalamaster watched as a huge figure jumped from the silhouette and landed with a tremor. The figure was clad in black plate metal armor that clanked as it stepped closer to him. Kalamaster wanted to draw a sword, but he was frozen in place, forced to watch helplessly as the figure drew closer. The figure's plate was covered with spikes and ridges that resembled the hide of a dragon that had been forged from demon's fire. The boots looked like the head of a mouse, clunking with each footfall. The breastplate bore detailed workings of skulls and horns, all cast in black metal. The helm of the figure resembled an ungodly fork, its sloping ridges coming up to a crown of spikes and horns that circled the head. But perhaps most terrifying were the figure's burning eyes. They glowed like fires, hot and ready to consume damned souls. This was the creature who had destroyed Lion. This was the creature who thought to be dead. The creature was the infamous and legendary Dark Lord Raxterin. Kalamaster remained paralyzed with fear as the honking werewolf stretched forth a gauntlet hand and grabbed him by the head. Raxterin lifted Guzman off the ground with seemingly little effort. Kalamaster dangling helplessly, unable to move, unable to scream as the monster's king of fiends drew a long black sword. He looked at the sword with horror. The blade glowed red along its edges. Then in one swift motion, Lexterin brought the sword to Kalamaster's neck. Kalamaster shot up from a bed in the middle of the dark room. His heart was racing, his body covered in cold sweat. His eyes darted about before realizing that he was alone in the dark. Angels. It was only a dream. At least, most of it was. Kalamaster put a hand to his head. He was okay for now, at least. My, you seem to have quite a nightmare, a voice said from the corner of the room. Kalamaster glanced towards the direction of the voice and saw the shadow of a short man with a big belly stirring in a nearby chair. You're probably wondering where you are, the man continued. Don't be alarmed. You're in my inn. You arrived at our village in a quite sad state. Very well. Kalamaster began. To what do I owe the kindness of taking me in? The man chuckled sarcastically. How about you answer a few questions? Most importantly, the way that you were sleeping. Angel's mercy. I've seen sailors who witnessed their entire crews survive by cracking sleep sounder than that. So tell me, what haunts you? Calamata cocked an eyebrow. The poor fellow was fidgeting in intimidation. Calamata decided he'd play along for the moment. Very well, he said in a serious tone as he, without laughing, but first let me introduce myself. The man in the corner seemed to tense as Calamata continued. I am the Lord of Delectable Pudding and have come to inspect your... That's great. Sorry, that caught me off guard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh god. I okay, wait. I am the Lord of Delectable Pudding and have come to inspect your custards. Columnista saw the man freeze, then watched as he bellowed and laughed, a righteous laugh. The laughing went on for a good moment before subsiding. The man lit a candle near his quarter, illuminating a jolly face. The innkeeper wiped a tear from his eye as he spoke. Angel's mercy, I don't think I've laughed like that in a good while. The man suddenly seemed much more natural in his dolly state, more than when he had been trying to be intimidating. The name is Turco, and who do I really owe the pleasure of meeting, or Lord of Pudding? Calamancer chuckled. My good sir, my name is Calamancer. Calamancer, it's a pleasure. Now pardon me for being rude, but you're a Lexington, are you not? Calamancer nodded. Indeed I am. We don't get many of them around these parts. In fact, I'd say we've never had one grace our little village. Tuco settled back in his chair as he rubbed a stone between his thumb and forefinger. Is that so? Calamancer said. Aye, but there are many roads from London to Braxton, but ours is a little out of the way. I wonder why any would take the detour. Calamancer knew why. There had been no other choice. It's at the moment that he remembered Diana. Calamancer jumped from the bed as fast as a bouncing rabbit, but was soon stopped by the innkeeper. Easy there. Is this about the child? He said. Yes. Where is she? I need to see if she's all right. Demon cursed brain. How had he forgotten? Calm yourself now. The child is with the wife. If there's anything to worry about, it be the child being mother to the point of angel's paradise. Let's sit back. You look exhausted. Calamaster was reluctant but did as the innkeeper suggested. Now from what I take it, then the child's alas? You must be a proud father, I tell you. If she remains angelic and she's older as she is now, you'll need the entire forces of Ranshire to keep the boys away. Maybe more. She's not a child, Calamar said without thinking. Demon Curseberry, how could he let that slip? The less people knew about him, the better. Then again, maybe they had a right to know. Oh, whose child is she then? Calamar sighed as he took his time to collect his thoughts. What I'm about to tell you is no jest. I ask you to use it wisely and not panic. The jolly nature of the innkeeper gave the fade as Calamaster continued. That child is not mine, because she's the daughter of the king, Redshire. She is your princess. The innkeeper held a hand to his face as if to hold back a gasp. So now, Calamaster said, I assume you rarely ask, why do I have the king's daughter? I am no thief, no ransomer, hoping to make my fortune. I've been entrusted with her safety. You see, Lila has fallen. The innkeeper leaned forward in his seat, his eyes grim. 5 days ago, Calamancer continued, Lila fell to a massive army of fiends. We didn't know there were so many of them left. They came to the capital a month ago and they besieged us. Every attempt we made to send an aid was met with failure. Try with magic, a syndicate of witches blocked us. Try with air, a storm of dragons burnt us. Try by ground, a whole host of fiends swarmed us. Now they are marching this way, hoping to take back the lands that we took from them. As for me, I was able to escape. I was able to lead the confusion when the city was being sacked. I now head to Baxton. There I hope to keep the princess in safety until she is old enough to take her place on the throne of light and save us. The innkeeper seemed shaken. He couldn't have been taking this news lightly. What will we do? The innkeeper said. Russia is late. What will become of this village? I must tell the others, must warn them. We have to get ready. We need to leave. Need to. Please stop. There's no need to react so quickly. Calamaster felt the slightest bit of regret for what he had just told the man. I've been writing for the past 5 days to put as much distance between me and their armies as possible. In the morning I will leave with the princess. After that, warn everyone in the village. Word will spread, but when it does, the fiends... may catch wind of it and hasten their march. I need to ensure the princess' safety first, and must be gone before anyone else is the wiser. Calamancer held up a hand that began to glow with golden light. I will kill whoever I must to protect her. Do you understand? He said it, his tone grim. The innkeeper nodded. Good. The light stopped and Calamancer slipped under his blankets. The innkeeper stood and walked towards the door before opening it and stepping across its threshold. Remember, Calamancer said, keep this a secret until I leave. With that, the door shut and Calamancer was left alone. Tura walked up the stairs to the innkeeper's chambers, his thoughts of what the Lexington had said buzzing in his mind like a hive of firewalls. Lila fallen? It couldn't be. Tura got to the door, remembering the warning face he could before opening the door. Inside the room, Martha paced back and forth, the baby in a makeshift cradle made from an empty drawer stuffed with blankets. Upon seeing him, Martha's plated him with questions like a volley of arrows. Did you speak to him? What about the child? Was he really a Lexicon? Relax, darling, he said. It's all right. The man's no harm of any of us. But the child, where's the mother? The poorest man's a widower, lost his lovely wife in childbirth. He was so heartbroken he needed to take leave to the place where they first met. Something about a beach in the west. But why the armor, the horse? Angel's Turk. The man looked like he was prepped for war. He's a knight and was ordered while he was out to oversee a garrison to the west. It was part of the arrangement for his leave on such short notice. But that still doesn't explain why he was so exhausted, Turk. It's like he's running from something. Only some bad memories. That part was true. Wanted to shave some time off the trip. Thought he'd ride through most of the previous night. Turns out that was a mistake. Marcus seemed worried still, but satisfied. Well, alright, I suppose. Tura gave his wife an arm smile and embraced her. Don't fret, my dear. Everything will be alright, he said. I know. I guess I just got carried away. Don't you worry, love. It happens to the best of us. You're the evidence of that. Ta! Turek relinquished his wife and the two settled into their bed. Martha was soon asleep, her breathing soft and rhythmic. Turek, however, couldn't sleep. He had deliberately lied to his wife, something she would know of tomorrow. As for himself, he now knew the dread truth of what was to come. Captain Grunt hated goblins. As an orc, he was meant for greater things like mutilation and blood drinking. The goblins, those seemed to ruin that. They seemed to ruin everything. What was worse is that they were stranded in the middle of the craggy hills of Forden, former Maxstrom, with nothing. Unlike the other fiends who got to watch the Lexington burn in their city, they had been told to stick to the hills and bring warning in case any allied army managed to come aid them. Now that they had received word to that they had eliminated the demon-cursed light ones, they simply spent their time scavenging the hillside, pillaging whatever they could for food until they were commanded to return to the greater army. Grunt rode lazily on the back of his Dern wolf, inspecting the troops that waited with him. The goblins were an interesting lot. All goblins were covered away to train some to the point of being near elite. The stick stag, he called them, some old word for poisonous spiders or something. The way how they ran resembled that on all fours. The weapons they used were kind of spider claw as well, pointed blades that came to the tip of the gauntlets. They even had miniature crossbows attached to the gauntlets to launch a single poisonous bolt. They were useful for quickly raiding and killing a populace. However, as Grunt passed one, picking his oversized nose, he was reminded that they were still goblins. Great Lord of Darkness, spare me, he said under his breath. Just then, one of the disgusting things came up to him, his insane smile a little too wide for his comfort. What is it? Grunt said. The patrollers returned, the goblin said in a shrill voice. They have brought goodness of newsies. Then bring them to me. The goblin eagerly scraped away on all fours. A few moments passed before the goblin returned with 4 others. Here they are, sir, as you commanded. The goblin said, Report! One of the patrollers spoke similarly to the other goblin, but so Grunt assumed. Goblins are really almost exactly the same. The patrol seized a village not too far. What is the state of the provisions? Just a few old bones not worth the meat, the goblin said, his tone one of disappointment, but the slang will be fun. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury to kill wantonly at the moment. We'll pass it up. Just then, another goblin shouted at the army elsewhere in the camp. Tentar! Grunt felt his heart leap. Tentars were vile creatures, giant winged monsters like a black. Only without hair. Their body was sickly pale, of skin and webbings. Their necks stretched long like a dragon. They even had tails. However, they were blind, having no eyes, but instead a smooth round skull with a pair of early large ears. All that was an afterthought, however, as their lipless jaws were home to large teeth that could pierce any armor, which they typically used to eat everything in their path. Grunt rolled his daring wolf to the sight of the alarm. It was dark out, but the silhouette was unmistakable. Large black wings in the night sky. Get to cover. Hopefully it doesn't sense us, Grunt said. The goblins scattered, hiding behind rocks and scrubs. Grunt dismounted his daring wolf and did the same, but stayed where he could see the beast. As it approached, he recognized something different about it. Get out of hiding! Present yourself! Confused, the goblins reluctantly obeyed. They still hadn't recognized what Grunt had. The Tentar wasn't any ordinary Tentar. It was same. It bore the rider. The rider Grunt knew all too well. He had never personally met him before, but he only knew of one fiend fierce enough to obtain the Tentar. It was his lord. The Tentar landed, and his rider dismounted. Grunt bowed before the great king of fiends, the savior of fiend lands, his liege, and the closest thing the orcs had to a god, the Dark Lord Rexington. Arise! The Dark Lord boomed in a deep, demonic voice. Grunt obeyed. Lord, he said, I am humbled by your presence. Surely your greatness is better than your lore yourself by coming to such a lowly encampment, such as this. Grunt couldn't help but look at the Dark Lord's magics with awe and intimidation. The King of Fiends stood there 3 minutes tall at least. His spell was an impressive kingly display of might and strength, but mostly commanding about him were his glowing red eyes that shone through his dark helm. True, he said, but yet I need of you. Anything, just give the command, my liege. There was a village nearby, a small one, not too far away. If you rate it, leave no survivors. Lord, Grunt called himself. I don't mean to question you, but the supplies our camp would gain from it would be neglectable at least. I don't see any strategic significance in taking it. You are never to question me, only to obey. I have my reasons. Bless, Lord, forgive me, Lord. The Dark Lord turned towards the direction of the village, ominously gazing into the distance. He stood there silent and posing as if lost in conversation before finally speaking. Attack at dawn! Grunt smiled and mounted his dire. He turned to the goblins, who were all thankfully bound behind him. Arise, scum! We attack at dawn! Leave any survivors, and I'll gut you where you stand! In fiendish glee reverberated through the goblins as they stood. The Lord would have his wish, and they were happy to oblige. Calamaster awoke to the sound of a cock crow, then a goblin war horn. He jumped from his bed and bolted to the nearest window. To his shock, he saw an entire company of goblins charging the village. Demon cursed filth, did they follow me? He said under his breath. Calamaster ran out the door, then bound up the stairs to his left. Where was his armor and his sword? He came to the door at the top of the stairs. This was where the innkeepers traditionally stayed. He would have cared if he was wrong. Calamaster kicked in the door and was met with the frightened scream of a woman, followed by the cries of a baby. No, not my baby, Daya. The portly innkeeper looked startled, his wife even more so. What in the four kingdoms, he said groggily. Calamaster saw his armor and weapon in the corner of the room and went for them. The village is under attack. You need to leave now, he said. Calamaster grabbed his sword, then looked at his armor. There wasn't time to put it on. He turned to the innkeeper. Saddle my horse and take the princess. She is most important. No matter what happens, she can't fall to the fiends, he said. The innkeeper looked at him with understanding eyes and simply nodded. Good man. Calamaster ran out of the room, down the stairs, and out of the doorway of the inn, into the village square. The goblins were nearly 100 meters away. Calamaster ran towards them, pulling his sword from his sheath. The weapon didn't look like much, little more than a dagger. Then it started to glow. Calamaster channeled his magic through the weapon, and while blade burst from the edge like light, The goblins were now a stone's thrown away from Calamancer swung like the blade towards them. A beam of light launched in the arc towards the goblins. Those unfortunate enough to be unable to avoid the attack exploding in a spray of black blood and green body parts. The attack caused some of them to pause, just enough time for Calamancer to stab his sword into the ground. The earth crackled and a beam of light shot from the earth, stretching 100 meters in each direction. The goblins stopped before a barrier. One of them was unfortunate enough to slide into it and was immediately burnt to the ashes. The rest, seeing what happened to their companion, began to piece really impatiently on the other side of all fours. Behind him, Calamancer heard a scream. He turned to see the innkeeper's wife, her face twisted in horror at the sight of the goblins. "Get moving. I'll hold them off as long as I can," he said. Angel's mercy, he hoped it wasn't long enough. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Because I'm gonna be honest. Hold up. Hold up. Okay, we're gonna stop here. And I'm gonna do a part two. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually, for the most part, yeah, I'm gonna separate this. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna separate each part into two parts. Let's do that. I think that would work. Yeah, definitely. Also, I like the way he has it separated too. Like it's like he has it separated. Uh, let me like like scene by scene. I like that. Hey, um, seriously, this is kind of like a trial run. If you came by here for this first thing, thank you. I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna do the part two. Uh, probably next couple weeks before Friday. Before Friday, I'm gonna add a part two in. Um, if you came by, I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, this is just something new I'm trying out. Um, like I said, I really wanted to read this book. Um, I'm grateful for those who came by, check this out and everything else. Um, do like, comment, and also subscribe, y'all. I'm gonna seriously get some rest. I've not been asleep at all, but I really wanted to get started on that. And I actually was in a conversation with somebody earlier and sat there and said if I eat and I still feel up to it and I'm not about ready to drop dead, I would try to at least start it. So thank you for coming by and everything else. Let's do this. You know what? Let's go for tomorrow. I'm gonna try to finish it tomorrow. So let's go with that, and we'll finish up chapter one. And also, don't forget like, comment, and subscribe. Stay out of bad trouble. Good trouble is okay, y'all. I'm Dark Riddler, y'all. Y'all have a good day, evening, night. I'm out of here. Uh, I Be sure to check out my socials, more updates regarding later today. We're out of here.